I'm Alex Mozet, and welcome to Winner Take All, where we talk about the constant battle against big tech monopolies and how to fight back against those monopolies and finally get some justice and parity. First topic is actually not about platform businesses, which all the tech monopolies are platform businesses. First topic is actually about streaming services, right? So actually a lot of people have confused Netflix over the years to be a platform. We've said for years, it's not a platform. There's no supply side network effect. It doesn't have the defensibility that a true platform business has because it's very difficult to emulate a YouTube. And to compete against YouTube, you got to get millions of content creators to switch over to your platform. Netflix, it's linear in the sense that all of the inventory, all of those videos sit on their balance sheet in one way or another. Either Netflix is creating them for themselves or they're licensing them. Right? So you look at YouTube, where does YouTube's video assets lie? They actually don't lie anywhere on their balance sheet. They actually don't really touch their financials. So that's a really good litmus test to see when you want to try and see, hey, is this a platform business or not? Can you see the inventory, the thing that people are consuming? Right? Like, how do you quantify all the Google search results, right? Like all the stuff that Google's crawling. Do all those websites sit on Google's balance sheet? No. We've now seen, the streaming wars begin. That's this article. It's a pretty good article. Just came out in CNBC recently. And they just catalog, hey, here are all the streaming services. Here's how many subscribers they have and their average revenue per subscriber. So 208 million paying subscribers for Netflix. Only 75 million in the United States. Compare that to Disney. And Disney's giving a global number, 100 million globally. But then that doesn't include the Hulu. You got another 40 million on Hulu, another 14 million on ESPN. You actually add that up and you say, yeah, Disney's around 160 million. Netflix is at 208. I'd say that's phenomenal progress for Disney. And if you look at the average revenue numbers, they seem much lower for Disney because that 100 million is a global number. So Hotstar's in India. So anyway, that's a very scary number if I'm Netflix, right? That's a very scary number if I'm Netflix's investors, as evidenced by their basically flat stock price for the past year. Look, it goes up, it goes down, it's basically the same. We recently penned an article for Wisdom Tree called Why Netflix Isn't in Wisdom Tree's Growth Leaders Fund and Hasn't Ever Been. If you want to go read more about why Netflix is not a platform, why we've been bearish on Netflix for years over the long term, right? So if you look at this in the past couple of years, yeah, sure, Netflix did really well for you, but over the long term, does Netflix have the staying power that a dominant platform business has? No. So go check this article out. That was a really well done piece. It doesn't stop there, right? You got Warner Media here with 64 million subs, 44 in the US, right? 44 in the US. That's over half of what Netflix has. They just rolled this out. It's barely been a year that the thing has been out. Amazon Prime kind of counts, doesn't really count. It's bundled into Prime. Peacock at 42 million. They don't disclose revenue. Viacom at like 36 and then 50 from Pluto. You can see it starts to taper off, but still 36 million. Netflix has 74. That's like basically half. Discovery just actually merged with Warner Media. So if you add Discovery's 15 million in to these numbers, then Warner Media is at, really at 80 million. And Apple doesn't disclose because Apple just has lackluster leadership when it comes to innovation. Like they spend all this money, they're not even disclosing the numbers. That's not a good thing. Good job, Tim Cook. Long story short, look at Disney stock. Now, this is the 1 year, so you got to keep in mind that, it's starting from a pretty low bottom from a valley, that's for sure, because of COVID, right? But if we go a little bit more out, right, kind of pre-COVID, they're at $1.40. Now they're at $1.77. They hit their all-time high in late March at a little under $200 or early March. I like the moves that Disney took. I like what Bob Iger started to put into place, and then pass this over to Bob number 2. This is a linear battle, not to be confused with the platform winner take all kind of battle. It's a very different kind of battle. Let's go to tech monopoly, then we'll go to some startups. So tech monopoly, Amazon, one of the greatest tech monopolies. I'd say the one I'm most bullish on from a growth prospect standpoint. Even now with the founder, CEO, about to go into space any day now with Andy Jassy in control, I think that was a great pick. Someone that can really continue to innovate, unlike these like operator, kind of like manager CEOs like a Tim and a Sundar. Anyway, what this article is about is Amazon demands one more thing from some vendors, a piece of their company. It's a really interesting piece. We've covered this about, and one of the first examples they give is Spartan-Nash. Spartan-Nash is a food distributor, supplier to Amazon, Whole Foods, now Amazon Fresh. We covered this, that Amazon was getting warrants, was getting a stake in the company. And like, hey, does that mean Amazon wants to go buy this company eventually? To me, what this article clearly, outlines is no, they just want the equity. And now what these suppliers have had to do, Amazon's basically made this not a nice to have, but a must have. And they've pitted these suppliers against their competitors and said, well, if you don't give us equity, we'll just go to these other guys and they will. This is unheard of. Since when does a customer receive equity warrants from the vendor? Right? It just doesn't work that way. That's just not how it's done, right? It's a clear example of monopoly power. It's a clear example of who do platforms take advantage of. Anyone fill that in for me? Yes, it's not the consumer. It doesn't hurt the consumer. Who does this hurt? Suppliers. This piece goes on to give you a number of examples, sometimes up to like 20%, or it could be more, 30% of the company, just because they're the largest customer of that vendor, of that supplier. So they talk about, product distributors and product suppliers. They talk about logistics suppliers, particularly as Amazon's gotten more into air freight and air transportation, cargo transportation. Spartan-Nash is the first one. Then they go into some examples with energy and power companies, transportation companies. Amazon also had the ability to put someone on the board in one of these companies. I mean, these are publicly traded companies, right? Like these aren't small private. These are publicly traded companies that Amazon's getting not only equity but governance rights in the company. They're not looking to buy these companies. They're just trying to get a little extra juice. They know they can squeeze that orange a little bit more, and boom, they get some extra. They get the nice like orange juice with the pulp. You guys like the pulp? I like the pulp. They're getting the pulp and a little bit of extra juice. And what I mean by a little bit of extra juice is like hundreds of millions of dollars, actually now billions of dollars worth of warrants. And just given what's going on in the stock market today, literally they're getting, by some estimates, up to $8 billion. $8 billion just from saying, I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff from you, supplier, right? And I'm going to make a big commitment to buy $800 million of stuff or services from you over a 5-year period of time. Great. Give me 20% of your company. I mean, it's crazy. And then if you don't go with them, now they're going to enable your smaller competitor. They're going to give them a bunch of business. That's going to make your competitor more, much stronger. Give them that nice big press release in the market, have investors flock to them. But, the investors flocking to them, like, actually, that's the funny thing about this. It talks about how the stock prices jumped. Spartan-Nash, their stock jumped when it was announced that Amazon got equity. I actually think it's a bad thing because those investors are getting more diluted by giving all these warrants to Amazon. And Amazon, is getting really good pricing on what they're buying from these vendors anyway. So it's not even like, it's very low margin business, but high volume. So it's going to bump their revenue up. but the margin is going to be paltry coming back. They get to keep the business, they get the press release, but honestly, it doesn't deserve a 20-30% stock jump, which is what often happened. I think the market was saying, oh man, maybe Amazon will go buy this company, and that's why the stock jumped. But just purely trading off of they got the business from Amazon, those events don't rationalize. So I thought this was pretty interesting. Another great example, platform monopolies taking advantage of who? Suppliers, not consumers. They get the margin out of the suppliers. Not only do they get the margin, now they get the equity in the tune of billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Just buying stuff. Crazy. Love this company. Zipline. Not a platform play yet. It could be. I would say just a really, really good vertically integrated logistics provider using what? Drones. And where do they start? In Africa. Delivering blood in 15 and 30-minute delivery times in Rwanda, right? Where, they've got centralized distribution centers. They've built their own drones from scratch because they can't rely on crap from China. Love that. Love that they built their own drones. They get a text, boom, 15, 30 minutes. They fly. I'm going to show you a little video. Company is so cool. What's really cool about it is they just raised $250 million at a little under $3 billion valuation. And they're coming to the United States. They've been in trials to test out the service for now at least a year or two in the US. It's just an awesome company. So let's watch this.
Meet the company that's beating Amazon to drone deliveries. Zipline has already logged over 186,000 miles and completed more than 4,000 deliveries since 2016. The company has focused on delivering blood and life-saving medical products to hard-to-reach areas in Rwanda, but will soon expand to other developing nations and even the US.
The service that Zipline provides allows any doctor or nurse anywhere in the country to basically send a text message and get the product that they need 15 to 30 minutes later.
Super cool company. It would make sense for one of the big logistics companies like UPS or FedEx to put money in. It looks like UPS might have given a few $1 million to them as a grant or something. Not sure if UPS actually invested, but if they did invest, smart by them. If they didn't invest, they should invest. Someone should invest. This company is doing phenomenal things. Another kind of cool company, but a little confusing. So this company called Gympass. It's funny. Now the NASDAQ is congratulating companies on their TV on raising, money. Obviously, they're trying to woo them to go public on the NASDAQ. But they didn't go public on the NASDAQ. But they did just raise $220 million at a little over a $2 billion valuation. And the company is called Gympass. Not to be confused with ClassPass. But yes, Gympass, not ClassPass. I did a double take because Gympass, you're like, oh yeah, they got a gym network of over 50,000 gyms around the world. And I was like, oh, isn't this ClassPass? No. It's not ClassPass. It's Gympass. Well, what's the difference? The difference is Gympass sells to businesses and employers that want to give, a global network of gyms and fitness classes to their employees. And ClassPass sells to the consumer. Gympass is crushing it, has now raised hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. ClassPass seems like they're kind of on the outs. And word is that they are, might kind of have like an acqui-hire, like a acquisition, but like not a really good acquisition kind of situation. This is ClassPass, and this is Gympass, offered exclusively through your company. You can get berries and SoulCycle, and I feel like you can get more premium things. ClassPass always had that challenge that people would just want to go to use it and then go to berries, right? And then they would actually lose some of the more premium kind of workout class gym providers as a result of that, because it's kind of like a race to the bottom. And you would join it because you wanted to go to berries. Then they only had so much allocation from berries or SoulCycle. And so you would never really be able to then get in and that whole stuff. But because Gympass is going through the employer, they can they got a little bit more money to work with here. And, it's not purely a race to the bottom when you have kind of the consumer angle where you're taking all this latent inventory from gyms and different classes and then making a membership program out of it. So really interesting angle. To me, someone should go buy ClassPass and just plug it into their network of like benefit offerings for employers, because they have the network. They could easily bolt in some of the higher end gym providers, class providers that have left if they just go this employer angle and compete more directly with Gympass. So very similar companies, just different kind of business model based upon that target customer. And the latter, the employer angle, clearly doing much better now. Kind of, can I say post-COVID? Is this post-COVID environment? Or are we forever going to be in a COVID type of era? I don't know. I'm calling it post-COVID versus the ClassPass model, which is definitely hurting. And it will be interesting to see where that nets out. That's it for us today on Winner Take All. We have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us. I will talk to you soon.